Hello folks, welcome to OTD, also known as On the Deck, where you can get all the sports you need in 10 minutes. My name is Adam Orduna. This is my mom, Gina.
He is a journalist.
She's the enthusiast.
I'm enthusiastic to be out of the deathbed. I've been sick for a while.
Yes, you have been sick for quite some time.
I have.
So much so that you had to miss last show, which we were really sad about. I know the viewers were sad about that
You did a great job, though. I watched them.
I'm glad to still have you be a part of the team, and you're back today, so we
got the good drugs.
Get back to it. Yes, we are back to our two-man team.
There we go.
Or our two-person team, I should say. And so we're going to talk about some of the big games going on here with college football, and then we'll kind of also transition a little bit with the U.S. Open going on right now.
That's very exciting.
We'll actually start with the U.S. Open.
Yeah, let's do that.
As we are wearing our Chiefs red today, as the Chiefs are kicking off the NFL football season, the regular season kicks off today. Chiefs and Patriots, so we're representing Kansas City today as well.
We are.
But yeah, speaking of tennis, let's get into that. U.S. Open has now reached the Final Four, if you will, the semifinals. And we've got 4 U.S. American women.
That's so exciting.
Playing in the semifinals. That is huge. It is. I believe it's the first time since 1981.
Since 1981. And even in 1981, they were counting Martina Navratilova, who had just become an American citizen. So these are like 4 homegrown Americans.
Pure-blood, yeah.
USA.
Exactly. America.
America.
So that is really exciting. We have 3 of the 4 being African American.
Black
that is huge. That is awesome. Yes. So we are very hopeful for Venus. Serena is finally done with her pregnancy. Her baby is born.
Beautiful baby.
But Venus can actually maybe take this one, as she made it to the championship in the Wimbledon tournament. But we've got Coco Vanderway going up against Madison Keys, who was a young rising star in tennis. She has been close many times in a lot of the majors. And then Sloane Stephens, who has really made her first major victory was against Serena Williams. And so ever since then, she's really just been kind of
climbing
up the ladder. And so she needs to kind of get a couple more tournament wins under her belt to really be solidified. But she is a very strong tennis player.
Think about this. You got 3 black ones and a white one named Coco.
Right. That's
very American.
Very much.
You got 3 black ones and a white girl named Coco. And let me tell you something, Coco Vanderway is really fun to watch.
She is. She's a good player. She's awesome.
Really fun to watch. I was rooting for her yesterday. So let's do this. Let's pick who we think will be the winners between these, and then who we think will be in the finals.
Yeah, okay. Well, the first matchup, Venus versus Sloane Stephens. I just think that I'm rooting for Venus. I think that right now she is playing her best tennis. So I'm definitely going to take Venus, although I think Sloane is going to be able to return some of those serves. She's very quick, very athletic. But I think Venus is going to go ahead and take
I will ditto that for you, and I'm rooting for Venus. But Sloane is awesome, but Venus is playing really good tennis, and she came off that Wimbledon win, and she's very confident.
She is, definitely so.
And then Coco Vanderway versus Madison Keys. I love you, Madison, but Coco is playing some really good tennis.
She is.
And so I'm actually going to take Coco Vanderway in that one.
Right, and I know that Madison has been dealing with some injuries, and so I don't know if she is 100% up to this point in time in the tournament. And you could obviously say that for anybody. No one's really 100% when you've reached this far into the season or the tournament or anything like that. But I know Madison has been dealing with some injuries lately, and Coco Vanderway has been looking very good. So I think I will agree with you on that. Coco and is going to win that one.
So we're thinking of Venus and Coco in the U.S. Open final.
Yeah, which will be really fun to watch.
It will. I'm not predicting that. I'm just going to say that's what I think will happen. Either way, we're going to have an American woman win the U.S. Open. I'm very proud of all 4 of these women. They're playing really great tennis. Exciting to watch.
It's awesome.
Poor Federer got bounced, but Nadal's still in there.
Yes,
it was Petrov or Petrov.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's all right. Nadal will carry the banner.
Yes, he will, and that's still awesome for him, especially since he's been battling injuries.
All right, well, let's get to the football.
Yes, let's talk about some of the big college football games that we've got going on this weekend. We've got Oklahoma and Ohio State. That's going to be a fun one.
Number 2 versus number 5. Ohio State is second ranked. Oklahoma's number 5.
Correct. Yes. And then you've got Clemson and Alabama. That will be a very good one.
Number 3 versus 13.
Yes. And then you've got USC and Stanford. And then the big story kind of coming from this last weekend was the snapper for USC. His name was Jake Olson. He was born blind, and he was always wanted to be a Trojan, always wanted to be a football player, and he was able to achieve that dream last Saturday against Western Michigan.
Well, I think wasn't the thing when Pete Carroll was there, he was losing his sight, and he was born with this vision issue, and they had to do surgery to make him completely blind, and the last thing he wanted to see was a USC game.
Right.
So we've actually, if you go back and look at some of the ESPN profiles, you can see his story.
He was a young kid
as a little kid.
Grew up a Trojan fan.
Right.
And he had vision issues, and then they did the surgery, and so now he's completely blind, but he is now old enough to be a college football player.
That's such a great story.
He was able to snap one of the field goals, and it was a good extra point.
In the USC Western Michigan game. And I think that's Clemson and Auburn. I think you might have said Alabama.
Oh, did I say Alabama?
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right.
Auburn, yeah, Auburn.
So, and then we got that Notre Dame-Georgia game, which people are really excited about, too.
Notre Dame and Georgia, that'll also be a good one to watch. So there's a lot of good games. As I had mentioned on Tuesday, week 1 to week 2 is where a lot of the best improvement comes, where as that first week, a lot of people were not super good. They were getting their feet wet. Some of the games were blowouts, because of the teams that they were playing. And then some of those tough games were a little rocky because everyone was trying to figure out what was going on. And so I do expect some of these games to be much better going into week 2.
Well, of the top 25 during this week, most of them are playing unranked, Chattanooga, this or that. But these are all ranked teams. USC is number 6 and Stanford's 14. Notre Dame's 24. Georgia's 15. So these are ranked teams playing each other, which I like to see early in the season.
Yes.
So let's go ahead and just pick some winners and losers.
Yeah, Oklahoma and Ohio State, that's going to be a tough one. I think Lincoln Riley's going to have his hands full.
Yes, indeed.
Especially after Ohio State kind of got shell-shocked on the road last Thursday against Indiana, but I think Ohio State will probably win this one, although I am rooting for Oklahoma because of the Big 12, and I want Oklahoma to win, but I think Ohio State will win that one.
I agree, and I would have picked Oklahoma last week, actually, but then I agree with you. I think Ohio State got that slap in the mouth, so they're going to come out with a lot to prove.
Yeah.
I'm rooting for Baker Mayfield. I don't think it'll be a blowout, but I think Ohio State at home is probably going to get it.
Yeah, the horseshoe is just too much to
handle. Well,
then
Auburn and Clemson. Auburn is at Clemson. Clemson started out ranked outside the top 4, even though they're the defending national champions. So I think they've got a little chip on their shoulder. Obviously, they're trying to replace Deshaun Watson. I know nothing about Auburn at all. So I'm just going to go with the home team there and say Clemson at this point.
Yeah, I know Deshaun Watson is gone. There's a lot of good guys from that Clemson team over the last couple of years that have moved on to the NFL. But I just don't believe in Auburn. I just don't. I said Alabama. They're in Alabama. They're in the state of Alabama. But I just don't believe in Auburn. I know they've got good athletes. They're well coached, and all of those things are true. But Dabo Swinney and Clemson, they are a team to be reckoned with.
And they're tough to beat at home.
And I think they're going to go ahead and win that one.
All right. So do you want to pick Georgia at Notre Dame?
Yeah, you go first.
Oh, well, thank you. Ladies first. I don't like Notre Dame right now just because I don't like their coach. As soon as Brian Kelly leaves, I will start rooting for the Irish again because I've always been a Notre Dame fan. But I believe in Georgia this year. We talked about this in our preseason.
Sure.
I believe in them. I think they can go into Notre Dame. I think they've got a really good rushing attack. I believe in their defense. I think Brian Kelly is on the hot seat, so he's going to throw everything in the kitchen sink there. But I'm going with Georgia, and I'm going to go by like 10 points.
Yeah, I don't know. I think this is kind of a toss-up game to me. I kind of see them as being the same team. Kirby Smart is the head coach at Georgia. Yeah, like you said, Brian Kelly at Notre Dame. Not a huge fan of Brian Kelly. I do love Notre Dame as a program, and I have a lot of respect for Georgia. I just don't know a lot about Georgia this year. I know that Nick Chubb is still in the backfield. They always will have a good defense. So, yeah, I would probably give the nod to Georgia, but I wouldn't be surprised if Notre Dame actually did win this game.
That's at home.
So I might actually pick Notre Dame.
Well, coach is on the hot seat. Well, okay, we'll split it. And then Stanford at USC. I do not believe in Stanford at all. I think they're getting ratings just because they're ranked because they're Stanford. I do believe in USC. I know they struggled a little bit with Western Michigan, but that's a really good team, that Western Michigan team. So I'm calling USC this one, and I think Stanford's going to get exposed, to be honest with you.
I am going to go with USC as well, but not by much. I think Stanford is going to give USC all they can handle. I think when USC is overly hyped like this at the beginning of the year is when they get in a lot of trouble. There's a lot of Heisman talk, top 4 or 5 team in the country. They've been shell-shocked quite a bit over the last couple of years, and so I do think they still got a lot of growth.
That's
and so with David Shaw as the head coach at Stanford, they may be ready for that because Stanford and USC has always been a really good game.
It's always been a good game.
I'm just going to give the nod to USC because I think they're going to have a lot to prove coming from last week.
Listen, the stands are still empty over there in the Coliseum.
Well, that's Los Angeles for you.
It is, but when they start winning, they'll be packed out in there.
Exactly.
But it'll be a good weekend. There's games everywhere, but these are the ranked games we wanted to look at. And
right.
We'll see. I'm always wrong, so.
Well, we'll see what happens. It's college football, and that's what we love to watch.
Oh my gosh, I'm excited.
Well, we want to say we appreciate your time, folks. We'll continue to keep an eye on the U.S. Open, especially on the women's side.
Yes.
And we're going to be glued to the TV this weekend for
all weekend.
Football. We want to say we appreciate your time, and we'll see you again, folks.